So, I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Today, I want to talk about a lot of things, and it may not hang together quite as well as some of my presentations. But one of the things I wanted to start out with came to me this morning in the Friday report from Hoke Communications, and I always read it. I've been reading it since the 80s. And interestingly, Hank keeps up to date, not just on, it used to be all about direct mail and who was getting promoted in the agencies, and it's just the general news. It's a weekly newsletter, the marketing industry. So anyway, today, great article that he dug up that I didn't see. Neustar, who I'm familiar with a little bit, we're doing some modeling for a client of theirs, so we have a shared client. Anyway, Neustar published some research that did where within the movie industry, they said that the average movie spend is about $27 million to market a new release. Okay, and TV gets about 82% of that budget. Okay, so that would be more than 20 million, right? It'd be right around 20 million. Okay, now what they say, and of course I always take this all with a grain of salt because this is a Neustar press release, but what they say is that 42% of the media-driven box office revenue came from TV. Now I'm guessing they're doing, out front of the movie theater, how'd you hear about the movie? Friend, Facebook, TV, whatever. And people tend to minimize TV because it gets in your head, but you don't really realize it. Okay? However, these results are so dramatic, you just got to see it. Digital media, it said, got 46%, so even more than TV as far as however they measured it, of the media-driven box office revenue, but only 14% of the marketing budget. Even more remarkable was Facebook. Facebook got 9% and 20% of the marketing-driven sales. Okay. It got 4% of the spend, and it got 9% of the revenue and 20% of the marketing-driven sales. Not sure what all those things mean, but it says that Facebook was more than 10 times more efficient than TV ads. Now, here's where you got to be careful, okay? Here's where you got to be careful, because then it goes into more detail about Facebook driving traffic to Google and some other things and the interaction of it all. That's where it gets tricky. Sometimes it's the first one out of the box. Other times, see, when they place an ad on Facebook and you scroll by it in your Facebook feed, all of a sudden you can have a pixel dropped or a cookie dropped on your computer. Okay, now you go to Google and you say, because a friend of yours actually told you, hey, you got to go see that new movie. It may be because your friend says, hey, let's go to that movie. It's coming out. So you go back to your computer, you search the movie, you find the show times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The causal force was actually your friend saying, let's go to this movie. Deadpool or whatever it is. Deadpool. Anyway, but there's that cookie. That cookie is staying on your computer unless you're getting rid of it. And it then shows you going to Google, looking up the theater, going to the theater, looking up the show times, da-da-da-da-da-da. And so it's showing you all of these pieces, right? But the cookie's taking credit for it. So you got to be a little careful.
You have reached the maximum time permitted for recording your message.
Oh.
If you're satisfied with the message, press 1. To listen to your message, press 2. To erase and re-record,
sorry about the
press
long
3.
message. It got covered up here. We'll just send it, and he'll wonder what was going on. Hank, I want to be in next week's letter is the deal. And it's going to be right before Christmas, so nobody will read it. But let's get some promotion out of Hank. That's what my goal is. I'm hearing this beeping, not knowing what else. Okay, on that note, let's go to a movie. Okay, so this lady comes from Ireland, and they're talking about the kids. She doesn't see snow like this in Ireland. This is in Boston. And so they say, well, the kids like to make snow angels. She said, okay, let's do that.
Open your
Here's
arms.
what happened.
Move your arm. No, not that way,
Fly,
Claire.
Mommy, fly. You move your arms up and down.
No, not that
over
way,
your head.
Claire.
Move your arms up and down.
No,
Yeah, and make snow angel. Bring your arms, slide
Back
your arms down.
No.
Put your arms down.
Look at you. Push them down. Look, as if you're waving. Like that. No. I need to please.
Claire!
What's
In
great
the
about this
snow.
is they're telling her.
In the snow. The
We
idea
all know
is
what
that
she's
you're
supposed to
making
do.
the wings in the snow.
You're an angel.
So pull the snow down to your legs, like. There you go.
Oh my gosh. I just laughed and laughed. I know you don't get it because you didn't see the beginning. I chopped it off. Anyway, so it just illustrates how hard it is to get across a concept to somebody, which is why we do these things daily, so that you'll have some hope to get it right. Okay? Here's another interesting point. More Americans are making no weekly purchases with cash. Okay? So I carry cash. I'm one of the majority who carry cash. Here it is, the majority, but only slightly majority, right? Some of their purchases, it took out some of the graphs. So I got my money clip. I only got $1 on the outside. See, I always try to put the 20s on the outside. Oh no, that is a 20. Okay, I got 20s. I got a couple. I probably got $100. Why? Because I'm the ATM for the family. Dad, you got $20? You know, hon, got some money? Yeah, okay. I almost never make any cash purchases, but I almost always carry cash. So I kind of mix this up. What does this mean for America? What does this mean for you as a marketer? What it means is that more and more people have credit cards. You know, I did a study for a cell company of Upper Wisconsin this summer. And I was shocked that only like 62% of people up there had credit cards. And about exactly the same exactly the same percentage purchased remotely. See, in the 80s, which we considered the golden age of catalogs, in the 80s, 50% tops made remote purchases. And, you know, not everybody had credit cards. It's probably around that 50%. So what we did was we only rented lists of people who bought remotely, I'll call it. And we had to, because otherwise half your mail was wasted. The big point is that if you're selling, people call it direct, but if you're selling remote, it's really, because face-to-face street vendor is more direct than by a lot than a catalog where you got to call in and all that. But if you're selling remotely, at least today, pretty much every household has got a credit card, except in northern Wisconsin. So I encourage you to give it a try with compiled lists. Test some compiled lists that seem to match your market. And we've gotten that to work in the last couple of years. And it's because of this phenomenon. Okay, now here's an interesting article that I found. And it was talking about the process of using data. You got to consolidate it. You got to do a manual match. You got a lot of garbage going into it. The scalability is difficult. And by the time you get done, the data is outdated, depending on what you're doing with it and what you're looking for. If you're looking for real time, there is no such thing. All data is historical. You know, and next time a vendor says, we have real-time data, you say, you know what? All data is historical. When you say real-time, you're already in the past. So don't tell me your data is, your data would have to be from the future to be real-time, and it isn't, because it only happens in the present, and then it's past. Sorry. Anyway, so don't get a little too bent out of shape. But I thought it was a very good point here. A very good point. A data refinery, the process is taking it and refining it. My book, Spinning Straw into Gold, it's talking about taking the straw, which is garbage, and refining it to gold. Like a sluice finds gold in the process. The idea, the mental idea of a data refinery is exactly right. And that's why I wanted to mention it today. We'll talk more about this when we get into the modeling track, which we're going to do. But you got to have processes set up so that, you know, you're not just reacting to new data. You got to have the process, and the process is more important than any given conclusion. You got to have a good process. Merry Christmas.